हेलो। हाँ, गुड इवनिंग टू ऑल। आज से हम लोग लाइव देखेंगे सीबीएसई एनसीईआरटी। तो आई एम कंफर्टेबल इन ऑल थ्री लैंग्वेजेस, हिंदी, इंग्लिश एंड तमिल. Whatever language you want to ask, you can ask. Okay. Regarding chapter number, regarding chapter number one, part one, part one today. So today I am starting the session. Any class 10 students can participate and ask questions and make it clear the concept. Okay. Uh, through the book we will teach. I am going to teach. Okay. So first chapter is chemical reaction and equation. Clear? So what is chemical reaction and how it is written on paper? We can describe any what chemical reaction orally, but while describing it, we have to follow some rules. uh, so that you have to by heart. Clear? And how to balance the chemical reactions, that also you have to practice it. So these are the main part. And one more thing is, what are the different types of reactions? So simply three things you have to remember in this chapter. One is, what do you mean by chemical reaction and how to balance. Number two, how to balance the chemical reaction that is given, and what are the different types of chemical reactions you have. So if you clear in this concept, you can score. Okay. um, so what are the three things you have to remember? Definition of chemical reaction and definition of balanced chemical equation, and what are the different types of chemical reactions, and how to balance the given chemical equation. Okay. If you have any doubt in this, we will go by page wise, okay, or chapter, I mean, yes, topic wise. Today we will see what are the what do you mean by chemical reaction. Chemical reaction is the reaction in which new products are formed, and the product formed is entirely different from the reactant. Okay. And the new product formed, it cannot be reversed back to its original reactant easily. Okay. That is the main difference between what chemical reactions. And how would you find out whether the chemical reaction has taken place or not? That we cannot directly say whether the reaction has occurred or not, but indirectly we can assume the reaction has taken place. Like what? I mean, if the chemical reaction is taken place, there may be a change in temperature, clear? Or there may be a change in color. While the new product is formed, it may be entirely different color than the original reactant. Third one, there may be a change in state. We know the different states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. Clear? So in that state there may be change, okay, because of the chemical reaction. And one more thing is what? some light may be produced or heat may be produced at the end of the chemical reaction. Okay, and one more thing is what, or there may be change in or evolution of gas. Gas is may be released in that process. Evolved it means what? Released in that process. So there may be change in color, there may be change in temperature, there may be change in state, or a new while the new product is formed, there may be a formation of light or heat, or there may be uh, release of gas. If you find any character, a factor of these in the changes of any product, any substance, then you can conclude that the particular substance has undergone chemical reaction. Clear? Example what? Setting of curd. When you put inoculum, a small amount of previous curd into a new milk, okay, the entire milk will turn into curd. It is an example of what? Chemical reaction. And cooking of food. Oily cooked food, the texture of the product, what you add, ingredients, they may change. And as a combination, you add mustard, that is rye, oil, salt, turmeric, and other spices like jeera, som, kala jeera, whatever you want to add. So, as these all substances, ingredients, they cook together, that make or give you a good flavor, right? So this the new product is your biryani or rice is entirely different from its original reactant. Clear? Okay. Then what? Digestion. Digestion is also an example of chemical reaction. Okay. And we growing, right? From infant, now we have grown up into an adult, right? So these changes is also an example of chemical reaction. Similarly, a tree, a sapling, small seed is growing or developing into a big tree. That is also an example of what? Chemical changes. Though you see the size of the sapling and size of a tree, you only see the change in height, but does it merely doesn't what merely gives your change in the physical character like height. Previously it was short, now it is increased its what height. So it doesn't mean it is a physical change, but it is a chemical change because there goes a lot of changes in the body of the tree. So that become a big tree. So that is an example of what? Chemical changes. Clear? So yeah. So today what we saw is what do you mean by chemical reaction, and how can you conclude whether a chemical reaction has taken place or not, and what are the different examples of chemical reactions. Clear? Okay. Then we will move to what do you mean by balanced chemical equation. Okay. So reaction is different. Equation is you are representing the chemical reaction in a certain format that is called as chemical equation, that is on either side. So there will be a arrow in between. On either side of the arrow there will be some element representation of the elements in a symbolic way, like carbon is reacting with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide. So carbon and oxygen is reactant separated by arrow. So that gives a carbon dioxide, that is the product. So this what it is called as equation. Clear? Wait, I will show you. Okay. So what do you mean by chemical equation? Representing a chemical reaction in a symbolic way separated by an arrow. That is showing in a symbolic way. Instead of you are writing a word like carbon CARBON plus oxygen OXYGN. Instead of writing that, you only write C. So C represents carbon. It is a symbol of carbon. And instead of writing OXYGN, you are writing only O. So it is a symbol. So the symbolic representation of the chemical reaction is called chemical equation, right? And what do you mean by balanced chemical equation? So the reactant side and the product side, that must be equal. Clear? The number of this side you have reactant and this side you have what? Product. The number of element that have that is on the reactant side must be equal to the number of product. Clear? Why why it should be? It should be equal to satisfied. In class 9 you might have read. No? That is the law of conservation of mass. Right? So every reaction in this universe must follow the law of conservation of mass, or it follows the law of conservation of mass. Every reaction, otherwise what will happen if any, see, from the formation of the universe, there goes a lot of chemical reactions, right? If the new product is formed, it doesn't follow the law of conservation of mass. The Earth might have collapsed already before we have come into this planet, or your forefathers into the planet. So why it is still exists? It is because of the conservation of mass. So, so yeah. So for that, to satisfy that, it must follow the formula, that law of conservation of mass. So for that point, we have to balance the chemical equation on both the sides, right? The reactant side as well as on the what product side. Okay, right, I will show you. Yes. Can you see this? Can you see this? See, this is an example of what? It is what? It is some nails got rusted, right? And this is what? Grapes got fermented. So these are an example of chemical reactions. Rusting of iron and rotting of fruit, fermentation of fruit, etc. Right? So food is cooked. So cooking is also an example of what? Your chemical reaction, right? Yes. The burning of magnesium ribbon in air and collection of magnesium oxide. See? So they are burning the magnesium ribbon. It is also an example of what? Chemical reaction. Hmm. See, in all the above situations, the nature and the identity of the initial substance have somewhat changed. Yes, in all the changes, there was a change in the initial substance, that is source. The initial substance was changed to something. Okay, so whenever a chemical change occurs, we can say that a chemical reaction has taken place. So whenever a change occurs, so we conclude that there was a change of what? A chemical reaction. Yes. This is what now? Chemical reactions accompanied with, we already discussed it. That is change in state, change in color, evolution of a gas, change in temperature. Okay. Now, chemical equation. When a magnesium ribbon is burnt in oxygen, it gets converted to magnesium oxide. It is an example of what? Chemical reaction. So this statement can be written as a word equation. So now here you are seeing a word equation. What is written? Magnesium plus oxygen, right? Arrow then gives a magnesium oxide. See, we have written MAGNESIUM, magnesium plus oxygen OXYGEN. So this we call it as word equation since we have written the words, right? So word, yeah, that shows the word of that substance involved in the chemical equation, right? Similarly, when you write, see, writing a chemical equation, see here what we have written, only the symbol of that element. We have not written the word. In place of word, only we have written the symbol of that element. In place of magnesium, what is there? It is Mg, capital M, small g. It means what? Magnesium. And instead of OXYGN, it is written only O2, right? That gives MgO, right? So this way of writing, we call it as chemical equation, right? So this is what? Balancing a chemical equation. So why we need to balance a chemical equation? To satisfy the law of conservation of mass. Clear? Yes. So balancing chemical what? Equation. The number of the atoms of each element remains the same, right? Remains the same before and after a chemical reaction. So reaction before the reaction and after the reaction, the equation, the number of elements must be what? Balanced, equal. Hence, we need to balance the skeletal chemical equation. Clear? So this part we will see it tomorrow. How to balance the chemical equation. Clear? Okay. If you have any doubt, please comment in the comment box. If you have liked the session, write good. Okay. Or whatever you are feeling, write it in. Okay. So chapter 1 is a chemical reaction. Either you write a chemical reaction in the uh, box, comment box. We will see tomorrow between 7 or 8. Okay, so I request all class 10 students come and participate. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is for today session. We will see tomorrow. Okay, so if you have any doubt, write it in the comment box uh, in the tomorrow live session. I will try to clear it. Clear? So if you like this session, comment good or like chemical reaction. Okay. Today we will see about tomorrow how to balance the chemical equation. Okay. Bye. So keep studying, keep revising your book textbook. Okay. Bye.